So in this video, we're going to look at adding another toggle button like we did in an earlier video, but this time it's going to toggle up an options menu. And in that options menu, we're going to have a couple buttons, one that will reload the current level and a second which will quit the game or return to a start menu. So let's get started. So I'm still here in my scene with my my desert island and Ethan, my collectibles. You can see I've got the help button and some text up here that we created in earlier tutorials. So I'm going to go back to my scene view, open up my canvas and my hierarchy, and this button here, which I should rename. Let's rename that help button. I'm going to simply duplicate that button and move it over. Move it over so it's next to the help button, and then I'm going to use my UGUI tools to move the anchors to the corners for that as well. I'm going to rename this button, options button, and I'm going to change the text in here for options. Now, clearly good game design would use icons rather than words. Communicates much quicker, but again, the goal of these videos is not to make pretty UI, but just to make functional UI. Next thing that we need to do is we need to create a options panel. So I'm going to go to my canvas, right click, UI, and I'm going to come down to panel. I'm going to resize this, something like that, maybe center it, and I'm going to rename that as options panel. And then inside there, I'm going to add a text for a header. I'll zoom in a little bit, align that up, something like so. And again, reset my anchors using a hotkey there. Gonna rename this the header and put in name of options and adjust my text to look a little bit better. It's not going to look great, just a little bit better. Next, we're going to add a couple buttons. So let's add 3 buttons. We're going to add one button, like so. I'm going to size it up, like so. And then I'm going to duplicate that, pull it down, duplicate it again, like so. And I got a lot of extra space in here, so maybe we'll shrink this up. And you can kind of see some of the chaos that happens when you don't have your anchor set quite right. It's okay, we'll just make some adjustments. And likewise, pull that back down. Okay. I'm gonna select all the buttons, and I can use my anchors to corners on multiple objects, and it'll set all the anchors appropriately. So this first button, this is going to be a restart level button. Open up that text, just restart. Maybe we'll have a main menu button, so this will take you to the main menu, and then we'll have a quit button. That will actually quit the game. Okay, so there we've got our options panel working. And let's wire up our button so we can turn this option panel on and off, and then we'll work on the wiring of each of these, or the coding of each of these buttons. So we go back to our options button, press edit graph. I get this flow graph here, which it's going to be a very similar flow graph to our help button. The difference is we don't want to be toggling the panel, this object here. We don't want to toggle that. We want to be toggling the options panel. So all I have to do to make this different is take my options panel and drag it down in place there, and that should work. Let's give it a quick test and make sure that's working. Okay, if I press options, we toggle on and off. If I get help, that toggles on and off correctly as well. So our button seems to be working well. Now let's look at our options panel and get these buttons working. So our restart level is going to need a flow graph on it as well. So let's add a flow machine, and then I'm going to go into macros, and I'm going to create a new bolt flow macro, and I'm going to call this restart level. And again, I'm going to add the UI kind of suffix there, if you will. So this flow graph is going to run when we click on the button. So once again, we need our on-click event, and when we do that, we want to load a level. We're going to load a scene, and we're going to do it by scene number. So to make this a little bit more sophisticated, we don't want to just type in the number of the scene we want to reload, because maybe we want to reuse this menu in multiple scenes. Maybe we're going to turn it into a prefab. So rather than type in the number, we're going to get the current scene index. And we're going to do that with two options, two nodes. The first one here, we're going to get the index of a scene, but we also need to get the scene when we want to get the current active scene. So if I search for scene manager, I can get some options, and I can come down here and get active scene. That's going to get the current scene. So this node gets the current scene. This scene gets the index of it, and then this node here, or rather this block here, loads that index of a scene. Before we can test this, we need to attach the flow graph to our object. So I'm going to select the Restart Level button in my hierarchy, scroll down to the flow machine, and drag and drop the macro into the flow machine. Let's push play and make sure this works. So again, options is going to toggle it on and off. If I press restart, you can see that I'm reloading my scene. The camera's moving from its original position. So that's working great. We need to do a similar thing with the main menu button. So I'm going to add a flow machine to the main menu button. And then in my project, I'm going to create a new bolt flow macro. And I'm going to call this go to main menu. And this is going to be very similar. I'm going to add my on-click event. And when this gets pressed, we're going to load a scene. Now in this case, I am going to leave it this simple because I've set up my start scene to be the build index 0. If you missed that in a previous video, you can set that up by going to File, Build Settings, and right here are the scenes that are included or would be included in a build, and there's the index of that scene. So our start scene is scene 0. So when this button gets pressed, we're just going to load scene index 0. So again, let's connect that and drop that macro in. If we push play, we can test that real quick. So there we go. If we press main menu, we load our best game ever start scene that we created in a previous video. If I press start game, I come back to that scene and I can go round and round. So that's working. And the quit button, we've already made a quit button. We made a quit button for our start menu. So all we need to do is add a flow machine to our quit button and then drag our quit UI flow macro in there because we'd already created it in a previous tutorial. And again, these quit buttons won't work in the Unity editor. If you go and test them, they won't work until you create a standalone build, and then they'll work as intended. So there you go, we've added a new button to our UI that toggles an options menu that allows us to restart our current scene, lets us return to the main menu, and it also allows us to quit a standalone build of our game. So I hope that was useful, and I hope you'll join me next time.